I don't know who needs to hear this, but whatever it is, just do it. Just start. It's the best advice that I wish I would have listened to 10 years ago, 5 years ago, shoot, even 6 months ago. Whether it is starting a YouTube channel, joining a running club, booking a trip, starting a business, whatever it is, just start. Do it scared, do it nervous, do it excited, just do it. Because the truth of the matter is, life is going to continue to unfold. It is going to continue to happen. And before you know it, it'll be 15 years before you pick up a camera, i.e. me, before you start that business, before you do that trip. And you would have lost out on so much time and so many dope experiences and memories that could have been made. And as someone that has taken longer than I would have personally liked to start, I think that is the best advice. Confidence only comes through practice. It only comes through showing up. So show up. Show up with what you have, show up with what you know, and trust that it'll only get better from there. With that being said, I finally started my YouTube channel. And I can finally say, hi, my name is Sky, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'll be honest in saying that this is super exciting and also equally nerve-wracking for me, but it is truly something that I've wanted to do for over 15 years, and it feels good to finally be in a space where I'm ready to do it. And it feels really good to also trust in the fact that it could have only happened now. Let me officially introduce myself. My name is Sky Britney, and I'm a multi-hypenate, multidisciplinary artist, wellness practitioner, creative entrepreneur, business owner, and a host of different titles, roles, and labels. But really, I'm just a girl, just a woman. Just trying to navigate life, just navigating life and figuring it all out and starting over or continuing in her 30s. So what does starting over look like and why now? Sometime in 2023, I was having a conversation with my mom about one of the 1,000 times that I've started over. And she said to me, I want you to start over less and I want you to keep going. So I don't know if this is really starting over per se, but it definitely feels like a new part of my journey where I am coming with a new level of awareness and understanding of self, and I'm trying things in an entirely different way. So coming into this year, my mantra has been I am well, and my theme for the year has been devotion. So for me in this season of my life, starting over, continuing, looks like being devoted to myself, my well-being, to my dreams. It looks like holding myself accountable, giving myself grace but not making excuses, following through on goals, plans, and dreams, keeping the promises I made to myself, and honoring my mind, body, and spirit, being honest and transparent with myself first and foremost. And really, a large part of that is also documenting the journey. So in this phase of my life, and to be honest, I've always felt this way. I've always felt that a part of my purpose has been to document and share my journey, especially because there were so many points during my journey where I felt so alone in what I was experiencing. It felt like no one could truly understand me. No one could really see me or hear me or feel me. And I do believe a part of my purpose, a part of the work that I do, the art that I create, is to help people feel less alone in their journey in a way that I had never felt whilst going through mine. I also love the idea of having my own sort of time capsule, something that I could come back to time and time again, to look back at memories, to look back and see how far I've come, to see what I've grown through, and to see how I navigated that, and to see all the memories that I've made throughout that time. And so one of the reasons that I would love to, just start this process on YouTube is not only to create community, but it's also to have this time capsule that I'm also able to look back and reflect on. So for this intro to YouTube, as this is like my first official video, I wanted to take a moment to look at what the last 6 months have been like for me. And I wanted to talk about my sort of holistic roadmap that I'm creating for what I would like my next 6 months to look like. So let's start with something that put a lot into perspective for me, and that is a functional freeze. If you see me looking down, just know that I have my notes. I have my handy dandy notebook, and I have my laptop here because I was just in research mode and I was just doing all the things. So bear with me if you see me looking down. I first read about this term on a Substack post by Sky Britney, and reading that short description put me into full researcher mode. One thing about me is I'm a research something. Reading about functional freeze really put into perspective for me how much I had just been existing over the past few years and not truly living or being present. And it was a really hard pill to swallow. So let me tell you what functional freeze actually is. Functional freeze is a nervous system response to overwhelming stress and trauma. Although people dealing with functional freeze may come off as high functioning outwardly, they actually may be feeling mental fog, numb, and disconnected from themselves, from spirit, and from the outside world, i.e. like their personal relationships. And there are a few things that can trigger functional freeze, and that is trauma, chronic stress, burnout, unresolved emotional issues, and lack of direction in life. Now, I'm going to do an entire video on functional freeze because it truly did make my mind go whoosh, and it is helping me even right now, as I do believe that I am still kind of in that space of functional freeze. And there's so much power in knowing that and being aware of that, because now I'm able to take really intentional action steps towards just easily pulling myself out of freeze mode and into just free mode. It's out of freeze into free mode. I'm gonna go with that. But for now, I'll say that functional freeze can affect us cognitively, physically, and emotionally in a variety of ways, including severe muscle tension, difficulty making decisions, memory loss, riddling anxiety, sudden bouts of severe sadness, and more. And most of these, with the exception of memory loss, are all things that I personally experienced. So upon my research, I really started to recollect what the past 3 to 4 years have looked like for me. In 2019, I had left my 9-to-5 to really pursue my dream life and my entrepreneurial and creative goals. With that said, with the pandemic happening, 2020, although it was a rough year for the collective, personally, it wasn't so hard on me because this was the year that my business honestly, it was one of the best years of my business. It was kind of the year that I skyrocketed. I was doing what I needed to do. My business was making money, especially because I do have a holistic and spiritual wellness-based business. And so, just the way that the world was turning, that started to be highlighted a lot more. Now, in 2021, I started my Saturn return for any of the astrology girlies. And from then until now, I feel like my life has been a chaotic series of ebbs and flows. There were just so many things that happened during this time. And let me not even say now. Let me say from 2021 until 2024, I do feel like I am doing a lot better than I was last year. And I think a lot of that is due to the fact that I did my social media hiatus and digital detox and digital detox, which I'll talk about a bit more in a little bit. But yeah, from 2021 to 2024, I just feel like my world kept shattering over and over again. So many of my pivotal relationships ended, my financial health went down, my business was just going through like really high highs and then really severe lows, which I live in New York City. That's not fun. It's very anxiety inducing. I had severe and still do struggle with, I don't want to say struggle, and still do deal with like severe anxiety. My mental health suffered, my emotional health suffered, my spiritual health suffered. My sense of self was negatively impacted, especially because I was in a creative entrepreneurial space and just kind of like comparing myself to others, comparing my business to other people's businesses. It was just, pardon me, it was just a lot to deal with at that time. And then as I look back, I was in a perpetual state of grief. There were so many things that I was grieving, both spiritually and physically, throughout those years. And I never really gave myself an opportunity to stop and process and grieve and be in that and move and navigate through that. And overall, it just felt like every time I took 2 steps forward, I was like dragged headfirst 10 steps back. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I still feel that way where I'm like, all right, I'm making progress, and then I'm like, bloop, and I'm trying to be more faith forward, so to speak, about why I feel that way and why that's happening. I definitely am trying to lean on the more positive side of that. But sometimes it's hard when life is not operating in the way that I think it should. It is like very mentally draining. And I am working on like releasing control and all of those things, which in a video, I will definitely talk about that more. Because that has been, I feel, one of my biggest spiritual lessons is learning to surrender. But yes, I say all that to say, over the past few years, I have just been in this perpetual state of like, just going, and never really having a moment to just be. So when I learned about functional freeze, it felt very freeing because one thing about me, I like to put a name to things. It helps me understand and process better. So when I learned about functional freeze, it just felt like this beautiful aha moment where I felt less lonely in what I was experiencing, which I guess can be really important to me, that people understand, or that I feel that people understand what I'm going through. So it felt very freeing because I felt less alone in what for a really long time felt like a very lonely and isolating experience. And at the same time, I felt a deep sadness because it felt like confirmation that I had let so many beautiful years go by where I was just existing through it. And I hope y'all can't hear that. Where I was just existing through it and not really being present for it. And that was really sad because those are years and times and memories that I simply cannot get back. Back to that digital detox that I mentioned. Let me sip some tea first. So my digital detox actually didn't start with learning about functional freeze. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I think I read about functional freeze maybe last month or 2 months ago. But my digital detox, that felt like it started unofficially last July. And funny enough, it started with a TikTok. I do not remember who the creator was, but I remember I was doom scrolling and I saw a creator say, "You're not depressed, you need hobbies." And I feel like I tell this story all the time to the people that I'm like in daily contact with, but when I heard that, I felt like my mind went whoosh. And any moment that I have where my mind goes whoosh, I'm like, okay, we need to dive deeper into this thing. And I do want to add that a large part of the reason that I was so ready to dive deeper is because I was doing a lot of doom scrolling. I was doing a lot of comparing myself to others. I was doing so much consuming and not enough creating, not enough being, not enough embodying. And so hearing that it might not be the anxiety this time or the bouts of depression or whatever else I was conjuring up in my mind, and hearing that it could just be my need to get off the internet, get hobbies, and live life just felt like the sweetest permission to start again, to have fun, to embrace micro moments of joy, to return to my gratitude practice and be more in flow. Okay, back to the video. So that TikTok, along with some home renovations that I was going through at that time, actually got me into the library on a random July day, and that is kind of where life shifted for me. It was through my first love, which is books, which I love because I've always been an avid reader. But I feel like over the past few years, especially just because of my profession as a wellness practitioner, I was reading so many self-help books that I stopped kind of reading for pure fun and enjoyment, like fiction books, I mean. And so when I ended up in the library on that July day and I got a library card, I feel like I opened up a realm of like inner child joy. And that's kind of where, like I said, things shifted for me. So the more I read, the less I was on social media, the happier I became, the more present I started to feel. And it truly felt like the more that I got lost in books was the more that I was starting to find myself and find my true joy. And I just really didn't care to be on social media. And every time that I forced myself to be on it, because it truly was me forcing myself, I just felt this draining, anxious, just this feeling of drag and despair. It just felt so unfulfilling and overwhelming. And the reason that I really enjoyed reading too, not only was I feeling present in general, just in life, but it was really nice as a creative to get back into a hobby where there was no need or desire for monetary gain. And that's something that I've struggled with as a creator too, as a creative, as an artist, is kind of this feeling and this urge and this push from others and also from myself to monetize every single thing that you do. And with reading, I didn't feel this pressure to do something with it. It was really a hobby that I could fully enjoy without it being tied to some type of monetary gain. And that in itself was really liberating and really freeing, especially for the space that I was in, that I now know is and was functional freeze. From July up until October, I was knee deep in books. I was reading everything: romance, thriller, mystery, anthologies. I found a love for Caribbean books written by Caribbean authors telling Caribbean stories. I created a Caribbean reads book club. I was knee deep in books, and I honestly think that my journey with books really kickstarted my journey of self-discovery. So a digital detox was actually something I would have never considered, because at the time I was a full-time entrepreneur, business owner, wellness practitioner. This was it for me, and it still is. Not too much, but I would have never considered that, because my day in and day out was, how can I create content? How can I create products? How can I sell? How can I market? How can I connect? But really, it wasn't from a place of joy anymore. It was from a place of pressure. Again, especially living in New York City, you gotta get this money. How we gonna get this money? 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 Was my thought behind every single thing that I was doing. And essentially operating in that way, and I know this for myself, is never going to be fruitful for me, because it's not my true self. Operating from a place where I'm constantly thinking about money does not feel good. It does not generate a wealthy conscious mind or conscious flow. But I also have to be realistic, right? And realistically, you got to pay this rent. So Yeah, I say all that to say a digital detox is something I would have never considered previously. But the reality was is that I was severely unhappy and the business wasn't sustainable anymore. It wasn't sustainable in the way that I was doing it. It wasn't sustainable for the changes that were happening in my life. It just, the way that things were going just no longer made sense. But on my birthday of 2024, I got a clear message from Spirit. I posted like a Substack post, I posted on Instagram, and I didn't really feel, I felt connected to the Substack post because I had posted like some lessons I had learned. But to the Instagram post, I felt no connection to it. I felt like I just posted on my birthday just to post like that birthday thing, you know? And after that post, and after a sweet surprise celebration from a few of my loved ones, I got a clear message from Spirit that I needed to take a goddamn break. That message was so loud and clear, and by the end of that night of my birthday, I knew that I wasn't going to be on social media for a little while. And the message was simple. Get off of social media and tend to yourself. Pour into yourself. I really needed to get away from all external stimuli. I needed to get away from fleeting experiences, faux connections, anything that wasn't positively impacting my sense of self. Anything that wasn't pouring into my well-being had to go. And social media was a huge, huge, huge part of that. I remember that day and just the days following, just really asking myself, like, what would it look like if you poured into yourself completely, fully, intentionally, 1000%? What would it look like if you rebuilt, if you got grounded, figured out who you are now, and took time to actually be present and live life? Who are you outside of social media? These were the questions that I was asking myself while I was navigating some really huge changes at that time. And I'll definitely speak more about those changes in a future video. There's gonna be so much to share. I feel like I have like years of insights and musings and stories and things that I want to share, and I'm just so excited to share. Anyways, that was a crazy side note. But I really thought of those questions because when I thought about it, since starting my creative spiritual entrepreneurship journey in like 2014, I had never, and I'm not exaggerating, I had never taken a full true break. The most I would do, or the most I've done, was maybe I think in like 2021 and 2023, where I took about a month off. But even in that month off from social media, I was still thinking about it. I was still planning. I was still working. I was still pouring into it behind the scenes. And this time it was none of that. I went cold turkey. No posting, no planning, no shipping orders, no writing emails, nothing. I didn't post. I didn't say bye. I just cut it cold turkey and I went off all of the apps. And I can honestly say it has been the most freeing experience. It has been so humbling and has put so much into perspective for me. Who are you really connected to? Who do you desire to stay connected to? What do you really care about? Who really cares about you? Who's really checking for you? Who's really checking for you? All of these people that you stay connected to, and who really got your number? Does this path still make the most sense to you? Does it still feel good to you? Again, all of these questions I contemplated while also giving myself a lot of time to not think about any of it. It was definitely a balance of making sure that I took time to be in my own energy and having that be enough, and also making sure that I was taking time to really sit with myself and be truthful about some really important things in my life. And I feel like both of those are super important to get me where I am now, which is slowly coming out of that hiatus and feeling ready and feeling like I have the capacity to share some of my experiences and to share what my journey has been like. So I am recording this on the 8th, and tomorrow will make 6 official months since I have been off of social media completely. And to plan out what my next 6 months will look like, I am doing it from a holistic standpoint. My overall goal is to be well. I cannot remember the last time that I felt well. Mind, heart, body, spirit, everything. And that is really important to me in this next phase of my life. In this, well, not the next one, in this current phase of my life. It is really important for me that I am in overflow in all areas of my life. One of the biggest lessons that I keep relearning and that I would like to stop having to relearn is that when one area is negatively impacted, all other areas of your life will be negatively impacted. When one area of your life is in overflow, all areas of your life are well watered. And I want to be well watered. I want to be in overflow. I want to be well. I am well. That is my mantra for this year. So I want to take you guys on a little journey of some of the things that I'm calling in for the next 6 months. So after these 6 months of kind of just honing into myself and pouring into myself, I am ready to dream up what these next 6 months will look like. And I really wanted to dream/goal map from a holistic lens, especially because I do feel like my life kind of centers around what it means to live holistically. I've never really been the type of person to look at things from one lens, or to try to do things from a one-dimensional space. I'm very much big picture. I'm very much, how does it all come together to create a story, to create a life, to create a dream? So some of the pillars of holistic wellness are mental health, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, intellectual health, occupational health, financial health, social health, and environmental health. So with that in mind, I wanted to kind of categorize my goals in a way where I was able to easily see them and easily kind of put them into their own little brackets, so to speak. So I put mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual wellness together because I do feel like, I was gonna say that they tie in together, but they all tie in together. But I do feel like these four in particular are constantly feeding off of each other for overall well-being. And so I really wanted to put those things together in their own bracket. And then with each category, I created just like mini mantras, kind of help keep me on track and remind me of what I'm attaining and why I'm attaining it. For mental, physical, emotional, and physical wellness, my affirmation or mantra is I am well. So there are some things and some changes that I have been navigating within the past 6 months specifically, but also over these past couple of years in general. And I do feel like in that time, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but I do feel that in that time, my anxiety has gone up. The way that I handle stress hasn't been the best. And I definitely want to work on doing that a little bit more, or work on doing that a little bit better rather. I definitely want to do things like exercise more frequently. I would also like to take more classes. I would like more like functional working out, having fun while working out. So I do want to try like Pilates classes. I do aim to join a run club. I do want to get back into tennis. I want to try pickleball. I really want to learn how to swim. So these are all some of the things that are in this bracket under that specific goal that I have, which is to feel strong with high levels of mobility. Some of the things that I have under this bracket include improving my eating habits. So the way that I eat really does impact my overall wellness, and this is something that I've always known. It is such a big part of how I move through this world. When my gut is healthy, it positively affects all areas of my life. Food is one of the major ways that I kind of got into wellness in the first place. Like, how am I nourishing and feeding my internal body? I want to eat to live. So some things that I'm doing are, I want to return back to a plant-based / pescatarian dominant diet that is rich in fiber and protein. So some other things that I want to do are, I want to stick to my rising and resting rituals. So my morning and evening routine. I call it rising and resting rituals just because I want it to be more than a routine. I want it to have a bit of sacredness to it, which is why for me, it is a ritual, it is sacredness, it is intentional. Some other things that I want to do are I want to cut down on alcohol consumption. I want to make sure that I'm sticking to my daily affirmations, my gratitude list, my meditations, my prayers, my journaling. I am someone, if I'm being completely transparent, I battle negative self-talk. And so having my affirmations all around my house are so impactful for me. Staying in the energy of gratitude is so helpful for my mental health. Making sure that I'm meditating, I'm praying, I'm journaling. These are all things that positively influence my life and really help to shift my perception and thoughts to a positive one. Oh yeah, one of the things that I definitely want to do is I want to get back into therapy. I feel like everybody needs therapy. Get in therapy. Get in therapy. The next bracket that I have is actually not necessarily a bracket of holistic wellness, but it's something that I included because I do think that it is a part of it and it should be a pillar. And that is creative goals. For creative wellness, I included it as a part of intellectual wellness, but again, I think that it could serve as its own pillar. How you are able to express yourself in this world is so important. And I don't know, maybe that's just because I am an artist, but I also feel that everyone is an artist. I also believe that we are all art. Everything that we do is art, and healing is in the art. That is like one of my core beliefs. My kind of reminder for my creative goals are create more, consume less. And I chose that reminder specifically because I have literally wanted to create videos on YouTube literally for half of my life at this point. And I would just get so in my head about it that I would just end up not doing it. And I feel this way about many of my creative goals. There are so many things that I want to do, so many ideas that I've had. I can show you notebook after notebook, note after note on my laptop. And I kind of psyched myself out because I was consuming so many other people's work. And I love to support artists. I love to support other practitioners. I love to support other Black and brown people doing the thing. And also, I think there is a part of me that became so sucked in by the consumption of it all that I was forgetting to create. I was psyching myself out. I was kind of playing comparison. I was letting just fear and self-doubt kind of seep into my beingness, and that is not healthy. And so I definitely want to continue to support other artists, but I want to make sure that I am equally, if not more, I want to make sure that I'm equally creating and spending time nurturing myself. I definitely don't want to neglect my process. Some things that I have on my creative goals are, I definitely want to post at least 2 videos a month on YouTube. And I want to try out different styles of filming, of editing, of storytelling. I want to see what works for me. I want to see what feels good, what doesn't. I want to see what can be birthed when I authentically and consistently show up in this space. Another thing that I want to do in relation to YouTube is I want to post at least 1 video a month to my sound healing YouTube. So if you know me, you know that I have been talking about creating a sound healing YouTube for almost 5 years. And on this YouTube, I wanted to share affirmations because, again, affirmations is such a huge part of my personal wellness. And so I wanted to share affirmations as well as sound healing videos because I do also practice sound healing for my personal wellness and also as a wellness facilitator in community. Oh my gosh, put a pin in that. I don't know if I said for spiritual wellness goals. I definitely want to deepen my spirituality as well. I want to call in more aligned communities, more mentors, and more elders. I really want to hone into my spirituality and get grounded in that. I want to make sure that I'm just tending to my spiritual body as much as I'm tending to my mental and physical bodies. Okay, back to creative goals. Some other things that I want to do in relation to my creative goals are, I want to get back into, or rather it's all about consistency with me, okay? I start the things, do I stay consistent? I want to get back into being consistent with doing something creative every week. And I really want to tackle like more personal creative art stuff. I think I spoke about this earlier, but one thing as a creative that has really negatively impacted me was kind of this feeling that I need to monetize everything as an artist, as a creative. Like, oh, you can paint, you should sell a painting. Oh, you can draw, you should sell the drawing. Oh, you like to take pictures, do photography, like professionally, and make money from it. Like, I just felt like everything needed to be monetized. And not only was that coming from outside sources, and I do understand that in a lot of ways it was because people could see that I'm talented and people wanted me to be successful from my talents. And at the same time, it did add this feeling of obligation and pressure that eventually kind of took the fun out of the creation. And I do think that art and creativity should be fun. It's a way to, again, unleash yourself and express yourself. And so with that being said, I want to do more personal art projects, more personal creative projects, just for the joy of it. And so some things that I have here are like, I want to get back into scrapbooking, which I've done. Let me show you. So I bought this sketchbook on my birthday, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna start it on my birthday. I literally just started it last month, but that's fine. And let me show you. It looks like this. This is like the first page, just some like pictures of myself with some quotes, just reminding me that I get to start over again, that I am my own muse, and that I am art, and you know, that I'm beautiful, that I am. There's definitely some more to add, but yeah, I want to get back into more personal art projects. Some other things that I want to do, I have been wanting to do pottery forever. And so this year, within the next 6 months, I'm doing it. Okay. I'm gonna check in and we gonna see if I did it, but I would love to do that. Some other things are, I want to document more of my business journey, but like, again, the fun side of it. I do feel like content creation for me is fun. I just cannot be tied to the obligation of it. So once it stays fun, we lit. Some other creative goals are produce and bring ideas to fruition. So I want to go through that list of all of those dreams and plans and goals that I have, and I want to, one by one, see how I can accomplish them. What makes the most sense and what brings me the most joy to do right now, and what are the steps that I can take to complete them. And so I definitely have been doing that recently. I am actually working on a project with a loved one, and I'm so excited for it because it is just for joy. It is just to honor something that is really important to me. More on that in a little bit, but I'm really excited about that because we just had an idea. We said these are the steps to get it done, and now we're doing it. And those are the things that fill me up. That's the type of stuff that I'm like, give me more, give me more. I just want to introduce consistency into all areas of my life, and I want to stay consistent. Another thing that I have is stay consistent with trying new hobbies and doing hobbies that you enjoy. I want to do active hobbies, restful hobbies, mentally stimulating hobbies, etc. So active hobbies including pickleball, tennis, running, restful hobbies like coloring, mentally stimulating hobbies like puzzles, and so on and so forth. And some other things that I want to do are, I want to attend workshops and events to expand my hobbies, to expand my horizons, expand my vision, and to connect with like-minded people. I'm always down to connect. I always am willing, even if I'm a little nervous or a little anxious, I'm always willing and open to meeting new people, to meeting people that are aligned mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and so on. The next bracket is career goals, aka occupational health. My affirmation for my career goals / occupational wellness is I am happy with my career path. When I took my hiatus, when I took my sabbatical, and just with all the changes that were happening in life, the way that I was running my business was no longer sustainable for me. And so I had to be really honest about the fact that I needed to return to having a 9-to-5. Again, we live in New York, life, you gotta be able to take care of yourself. And ultimately, having the 9-to-5 at this moment also helps me pour into my creative endeavors and into my business. I'll be honest in saying that going back to the 9-to-5 has been the most heart-wrenching thing that I have done, because I do feel like it adds a new layer of stress into my life, because I am essentially, it feels like I'm essentially working against my purpose. Does that make sense? Like, my purpose and path in this world is to be a free spirit moving through this world and sharing parts of my journey, sharing my wisdom, sharing my art, sharing my medicine. And in a 9-to-5, you're kind of tied to you're kind of bound to a structure. You're kind of bound to like this kind of particular way of living, right? I am someone that would pick up and travel and move to a country for a month and, you know, create art and move and just kind of journey along. And right now I'm not able to do that. And that's really heartbreaking for me, if I'm being honest. And at the same time, I am reminding myself that we have a goal. We have a goal, and the goal is to be able to get back to that life, but we want to do that with more intention. We want to do that with more sustainability as well, so that we can keep that going. We don't want to have to go back to a 9-to-5 in another 10 years because we weren't intentional again, you know? So with that being said, some things that I want to do are, I want to increase my network and my connections. Kind of in relation to my creative goals, I want to attend more career-focused events, as well as events in other fields. So my field, I would definitely say, is art and wellness, community advocacy. Like, those are my things. Mental wellness, holistic wellness, spirituality. These are kind of like the events that you would typically see me in. But I also want to go to other events where I'm able to connect with people who are like-minded, yes, but in a different way. They see things from a different perspective. So one of the things I've been thinking about is kind of getting into tech. Like, what does it look like to mix wellness and tech? I've been looking into getting into like financial events, because when my financial health increases, my mental health increases, right? When I'm not stressing about how I'm gonna pay rent, my mental health increases, my spiritual health increases, my emotional health, and so on and so forth. That's one of my goals for occupational and career goals. Other things include like building and enhancing my clientele. I have been getting back into accepting clients for like Reiki, for herbalism consultations, for crystal jewelry. Like, I've been taking commissions again. So these are all things that are reminders that I am in purpose when I am doing that, when I am creating community, connecting with people, when I am sharing wisdom and insights, and there is this kind of like reciprocal energy with people that I adore in my community. That is when I'm being fueled. And so I want to make sure that I am building and enhancing that through consistency. And then some other things that I would love to do is kind of pivot into more community wellness and advocacy. I definitely want to get into wellness consulting and facilitating more group activities, or group initiatives rather. And I want to tap into wellness for organizations. And that's something that I would like to dive deeper into and see what could potentially be birthed from that. And I do also have some other career goals and such, but I'm gonna hold off on them. I definitely want to get into more passive income. That's something I don't have on here. I'm actually going to add that. So more streams of passive income. And I definitely have some ways that I'm going about that as well. So yes, that is career goals. And then we have financial wellness. And my affirmation here is I am financially free, secure, and grounded. I do have some savings goals. Is that grammatically correct? I have a goal for how much I want to save in an allotted time. I definitely want to completely get rid of my debt. Once I'm debt free, I'm definitely going to be working towards building my credit. As you know, in America, credit is everything. You can't move if you don't got good credit. So I definitely want to work on building my credit health. And yeah, there are again some other financial goals here that I'm gonna hold off on sharing, but just know a lot of them include what does my savings look like, what does like my retirement options look like, my 401k. I do have some goals for YouTube and some other endeavors that I'm working towards. And yeah, one of my other financial goals I did mention briefly is I also would like to just build my financial health and just intellect. I want to be able to converse in finance. You know, I want to be able to understand what is happening within my accounts, what's happening within just all of the things. Like, how can I build my network and how can I build my financial intellect? And so for that, again, kind of like the same thing, I want to attend more events. I want to connect with more people that are finance oriented, so that I can build that strength or have that as a strength of mine. Because I do think that as Black people, as a first generation American, you know, my mom did the best that she could with the knowledge she had financially, and I want to do better than that. And I want to help us both. I want to help my mom, I want to help my grandma, I want to help my loved ones, because when I'm good, my loved ones is good. And I've always kind of stood by that. And I want to be good, I want to be great, I want to be amazing, I want to be excellent. I am excellent. I just need a little push to be even better, you know? And then we have social and intellectual wellness. So for social and intellectual wellness, I kind of like also put lifestyle and relationship goals. Some lifestyle goals and relationship goals that I have, I kind of put them all together, so work with me. But I definitely want to live abroad again, for sure. I want to do at least 2 international trips this year, which I've already checked off because I do have 2 international trips coming up. And I want to do more domestic trips as well. The beauty of the job that I have now, even though I stated that it's kind of heart-wrenching to be back in a 9-to-5, I do have to be grateful for a couple of things. One, I have consistent, stable, sustainable income at the moment, and that I am grateful for. And I never want to feel or seem ungrateful for the fact that I may not be doing what I want at the moment, but I am financially well right now because I am making consistent income. With that being said, one of the other things that I'm grateful for I say with that being said a lot, but with that being said, one of the other things that I'm grateful for regarding this job is that I can travel domestically and still get stuff done. And that is a chef's kiss. So with that being said, I do want to plan a couple of domestic trips this year if I can. I really have been called to the West Coast, so I would love to spend some time in Cali or in Arizona, just vibing out, like maybe Portland, maybe Seattle, I don't know, but the West Coast has been calling me. So I would love to see if something can happen over there, you know. I don't necessarily know if I'm looking for something specifically. I just know that my spirit is calling me, and when my spirit is calling me to do something, I gotta do it. I want to redesign my home. I definitely want to take some time to just curate my home to feel more sacred and more like me. Some other things that I want to do, which for the most part I have been able to knock this goal off, is I want to make sure that I'm reading 5 books minimum a month. And one of those books should be self-help. So I talked about my book journey quite a bit previously, but one of the things that I stopped doing when I got back into reading for fun was I kind of chilled out on the spiritual / self-help books. And I want to get back into that because it really does feed my mind. That's a little bit of intellectual wellness as well. Again, with the lifestyle, try new hobbies and activities. And I want to start my Spanish lessons. And I kind of checked this off. I did have a trial class last week. I just have to do some budgeting. And so I'm hoping to start officially next month. But I will definitely give you guys an update when the time comes. Kind of tying in with some of the other things I said in other parts of the video, I definitely want to make new connections and new friends. I want to be around people that are aligned, that are inspiring, that are in different areas of life, that are in similar areas of life. I am ready to get back out there and connect with people. I do feel like I can sometimes have a hard time balancing the two, but really we need both. We need a time in solitude just to be with self and to be with spirit. And I do feel equally that we need people, and we need people that see us. We need people that feel us. We need people that can and will receive us. So I definitely want to be more intentional about who I'm connecting with, because those past connections were kind of cray. I want to be more intentional about the relationships that I actually do cherish right now. And I mean that in terms of familial, platonic, romantic, whatever the case may be. The people that I care about and that I love and that I consider to be family, I want to make sure that I am pouring into them, and not in a way that's overcompensating, or not in a way that is like I'm doing this so that I can feel loved. I want to pour into the people that pour into me. Something that I've struggled with in the past is feeling like my love was never reciprocated. I felt very unseen in a lot of my relationships. I felt very unloved. I felt very unworthy. I just felt a lot of deep, hurtful feels. And I kind of harped on them for a really long time, just all of the ways that I was kind of harmed and hurt in relationships. And one of my friends told me, we had went to a Hindu temple, and I was just expressing some of those feels to her. And we were reading, I forget what they're called, but kind of like these like tokens of wisdom around the temple. And I was expressing this to her, and we were just talking about how like we kind of came to this realization that we were harping so much on who wasn't there for us when we needed, that we were taking away the beauty and the joy and this deep love and appreciation for the people that were there when we needed them. And so I say that to say I want to focus more on the people that were there for me, and I want to make sure that I am pouring into them and not into anything that makes me feel unworthy or unloved. And then the last thing in this bracket is I want to define and hone into my personal style. I was never really a super fashion-y girl, but I want to be. And that's it. Like, that's literally it. I want to like simplify my wardrobe. I want to find like my signature style. I feel like right now, or like in my mind, my signature style is a cross between streetwear, earthy girl, and kind of like simple chic. And if I could just either hone into all three, that way I can kind of pick and choose what my vibe is, or even kind of mesh all three, that would be so cool. Like, what does an earthy street girl wear? Like, I love like that minimalistic chic classic look. I'm an earth girl down. And I love that kind of streetwear, kind of like Aaliyah-esque vibe. I do feel like those are kind of like my three kind of go-tos. I just need to solidify it. I need to hone into that, and I really need to add a little to it. You know what I mean? You're good. So the last pillar that I have is environmental wellness. And with environmental wellness, I definitely want to get into more volunteer work. That's something that I really started the year. I just knew that coming out of my hiatus, I wanted to be more in community, and I wanted to be doing more intentional community work. I would love to be a part of just some more intentional initiatives. I want to give back to Mama Gaia. I want to give back to the Black and Indigenous communities. I want to make an impact. I want to help people. I want to be of service to my community. And I definitely will be taking the time to research and look into organizations that have volunteer initiatives that really pour into the communities that I'm passionate about. The last thing on environmental wellness is I want to be intentional with where, who, and why I'm buying products. Where am I getting my products from? Where are they getting sourced? Who am I buying from? What are their missions, their visions, their goals, their ethics? What are their morals? What do they value? Who do they support? I'm really excited to tap into these goals over the next 6 months, pour into them, have them pour into me, and see what can be birthed throughout this. And there we have it. I know that was a loaded first video, but I pray that it came to you when you needed it, if you needed it. I pray that you take what you need, you hone into what resonates, and you leave the rest. In short, I'm coming home to myself, and I want to share the journey for as long as Spirit guides me to share the journey. And I really want to do so with intention while building intentional, authentic community. So on this channel, I'll be posting whatever comes to mind, and that is honestly a part of my creative goals as well. I want to do journal entries and vlogs and cooking and sharing my fitness journey and just chatting, sharing my musings and insights, sharing my art, sharing my business, sharing travel, just whatever comes to mind, spirituality, wellness, community, all the things, because this is just me pouring my heart out via video. This is my digital oasis. All right, y'all, that is all that I got. I am starving. I'm about to go eat. I again thank you for sharing space with me, and I want to leave you with a sweet reminder that no matter where you are on your journey, you are never alone. All right? Bye.